Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for checking out this video. I hope you are having a fantastic day. For those for those who haven't seen, I got a little bit of an update on the Dearica Hamby lawsuit against the WNBA and the Las Vegas Aces. If you didn't see that previous video, I'm just going to recap briefly. Dearica Hamby played for the Aces. As you can see, it was a pregnancy issue. She got pregnant during the 2022 season. She announced it in early August. But because of the timing of it all, she finished out that season. The Aces won a WNBA championship, by the way. Then in January of 2023, she got traded to the Los Angeles Sparks and started that season on time. And she never actually even missed a single game because of her pregnancy. She eventually filed a complaint and stated that she was subject to repeated acts of intimidation, discrimination, and retaliation by the WNBA and the Las Vegas Aces. Now, before this, just so you know, and this will tie into what a video I'm gonna play for you of Becky Hammon. The WNBA investigated, probably use air quotes for that because they didn't actually interview any players for the Las Vegas Aces, which is kind of interesting. However, they did punish the Las Vegas Aces. They suspended Becky Hammon for 2 games to start the 2023 season, and they also took away a 2025 draft pick from the Aces as well. Now, some of the lawsuit is sort of the whole he said, she said, or in this case, she said stuff. I don't know how that's going to go. It seems like there is some stuff that's provable. For example, the Aces had agreed to pay the tuition for private school for Hamby's daughter through, I guess it was for some reason, I guess there were contract rules, that they had to get around in terms of the salary cap. And so it was made as a donation to the school. After Hamby announced her pregnancy, the team stopped. They missed the tuition payment. Hamby asked about it. They said they're working on how to do it. More time went by. She asked about it. They're working on how to do it. They never did it. Things like that are a little more provable. Obviously, you can prove whether the team did what they said they were going to do in terms of paying that tuition. Of course, if they paid it and it's a violation of the CBA, then the Aces are in trouble for that as well. But anyway, I just wanted to give you an idea just briefly about where we are that and what happened here. Also, just so you know about the lawsuit, it was a follow up because she felt that the league didn't do enough and didn't do what they were supposed to do. So filed a complaint with the EEOC back in I think October of 2023. Got go ahead to sue in I think May of this year. Got their stuff together and recently filed the lawsuit. Becky Hammon, after a recent game, was asked about that lawsuit. So we're going to play this little bit because I think this is really, really interesting.
Here's some facts. I've been in either the WNBA or the NBA for now 25 years. I've never had an HR complaint, never, not once. I still didn't actually because Dearica didn't file any.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. First of all, and look, I will admit that this could be partially me colored by it because from everything I've seen from her as a human being, I'm no fan of Becky Hammon. I don't think she's a decent human. And I get those vibes right away, right here in this first 12 seconds, in terms of her body language, her facial expression, her tone. By the way, to another point, many people out there defending the Aces, especially the players, when people were saying, hey, why didn't the players speak up for her? Why they're allowing this to happen? And the players, because there was a video that came out in, what was it, May? I forget exactly, but it came out, or maybe early before the season. They knew Hammond was going to be suspended, and I think it was Kelsey Plum and Asia Wilson and Candace Parker. And I played that for you in another video where they came out and they defended Becky Hammon. And this was after the WNBA found fault and suspended Hammon. And then people were saying, oh, well, they can't come out and talk about it because of the lawsuit. And yet, here's Becky Hammon talking about it. And by the way, this is why I lean toward there's a problem here, because Becky Hammon is deflecting. This is a much bigger issue than the Las Vegas Aces human resources department. Are you serious? She went to the WNBA. The WNBA investigated and found you at fault and punished you by suspending you for 2 games. That is absolutely absurd that you're going to then say, oh, no one's ever contacted HR on me. Wow.
She didn't file with the Players Union. She didn't file with the WNBA.
Um, the WNBA, again, investigated and suspended you for 2 games. As far as this lawsuit, if that's what she's specifically talking about, is this new lawsuit, of course she didn't file it with the WNBA. She went to the EEOC. This is much bigger than an in-house issue now, Becky Hammon. This is if there is guilt. If, right? This is all alleged now. And that's why we have the lawsuit. That's why it's going forward. But if they find guilt, if they find fault, this is big.
Those are facts. It's also factual that nobody made a call about trading her until Atlanta called us in January. That's a fact. Okay? And so,
Again, not so far the facts, and this is what irks me about the facts thing, because she's not giving you facts that are relevant. She's deflecting. The fact that Hamby didn't go to HR is completely irrelevant because Hamby went to the WNBA, they investigated, and you got suspended. Then, if you're talking about the current lawsuit, of course she's not going to the WNBA for that. She thinks the WNBA failed her. She went to the EEOC with a complaint, and they said, "Yeah, this is good for you to sue." That's a problem.
to me, I mean, it just didn't happen. I'm sorry, the bullying, I spoke with her every day.
To me, it didn't happen. The bullying, I spoke with her every day. So you can speak with someone every day and bully them. Just just to be clear.
If she wanted to practice, she practiced. If she didn't, she didn't. Over the top care, actually. Over the top care.
Over the top care. Does that include paying the tuition that the league said they would pay? Does that include denying her access to housing? Because those are part of the complaints as well. So, look, again, alleged. I don't know who's right or wrong. I lean to, just from what I've seen at this point, I lean toward Hamby having a legitimate complaint just from everything I've seen from the WNBA, everything I've seen from Becky Hammon. I mean, just the tone of voice, the body language, the fact that what she's saying is actually really irrelevant in terms of talking about HR and the WNBA and all that stuff. And I thought this was really interesting too. Um, Devereaux Peters is a two-time WNBA champ. So she had some interesting. Now again, there's no bomb. I will say there's no bombshell here, but I think she has a legitimate point because I don't think that this is actually specific to the WNBA with regard to this. I will say that. Now she says here, I'm going to say this as someone who is moments away from suing the league and a team myself. The team did something illegal. That's what she's saying. And breached my contract. And when they realized I knew it was illegal, they panicked and tried to course correct. When I went to the union about it, they suggested I settle with the team, not because what they did wasn't illegal or that they weren't admittedly breaching my contract, but because in the history of the league, there had never been an arbitration ever. They didn't know what would happen because it had never happened before. They were literally scared because the process was unknown, and these were the so called people that were supposed to protect me. And what's even worse is if you do anything through the league against a team, you have to use the W council. You can't hire your own. And as I'm sure you guessed, but anyway, so she follows up with this. So before folks just starting attacking Dearica based on the HR comment, be clear that that just because formal complaints haven't been filed through certain outlets does not mean they didn't happen. The league union have not been in any way structured to protect players. And that's the key point I was making. It doesn't matter that she didn't file a formal complaint via ER. That's irrelevant. That is absolutely irrelevant. And I know there are people actively working on ways to make it better, but we clearly are not there yet and have never been. I think the situation is going to be a lot deeper than people expect. You can't rely on the W to be the judge and jury. 100%. And I think one of the issues, I think this is typical of, I don't want to say typical, but I will say not rare in terms of, say, sports, young sports that are growing, or because you can go back and I'm sure you can find situations like with the NFL, with the NBA back in the day, with Major League Baseball back in the day, way back at this point, where the league wasn't successful enough for the players to have leverage. And that's where the WNBA is. The players don't have any leverage because you're talking about a league it's not making any money. The players are desperate to be a part of it. I mean, it's almost like trying to be an actor in Hollywood or a musician trying to make it in the music industry. It's a completely different type of situation than the rest of us, going and applying for a real job. There's a lot more leverage. There's a lot more nastiness that goes on behind the scenes. And this again goes back to the whole thing where I think the WNBA is partly terrified of all the new eyeballs because of stuff like this coming out. I had even another video for you that I was going to play just about Becky Hammon. Well, maybe we'll play a little of it. Now, the beginning of this, I'll try and skip this because it's hard to hear, but he basically asks about the WNBA. This is earlier in the season. They're talking about the growth of the WNBA and the Aces and the Liberty being two such great teams, but now the WNBA has so much depth that it's not just those two teams. Okay? There's nothing in this question about Caitlin Clark.
Well, I think there's a lot of good players in this league, and if you're just a recent follower of women's basketball,
there's a shot at Caitlin Clark's fans.
This has been brewing for a while. Women's basketball, it's been like at this boiling point, building, and our arena was sold out long before Caitlin was coming into the.
Again, question had nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. By the way, just this is a professional basketball coach and a professional basketball player who thinks she should be the face of the league. They're being interviewed. Are you paying attention to the body language? I mean, I look at that and it just screams spoiled brat to me. But hey, maybe that's just me. But again, yeah, the Aces were one of the few teams in the league doing well. But again, this is the first year since 2008 where a game on television had 1 million viewers.
The league. So I think women's basketball has just been on building. Now, she's a part of the tipping point, right?
She's a part of the tipping point. Man, go check my videos on attendance. I just did one the other day. She is the attendance for the league. She's not part of the tipping point.
She's coming in at this time where it was ready to tip over, and her presence has tipped some things over, but there's been a lot of good work going on behind the scenes to get us to this point by a lot of other people. And I think Caitlin is very gracious in mentioning those names too, and understanding the women that came before her.
All right, so that's enough of that. But I just wanted to give you a reminder. I mean, this is who Becky Hammon is too. She couldn't just straightforward answer the question. She has to go on and on negatively about Caitlin Clark for no reason whatsoever. But I'm going to leave it there. I'm telling you, I am with Devereaux here. I think this is going to get very, very interesting. I think a lot of stuff is going to come out that the WNBA is not going to want to see the light of day. And I think that's a big problem for them. And I don't think this happens without all the new eyes because of Caitlin Clark. This lawsuit is getting out into the public consciousness. It's not just the small group of WNBA fans that have been around in the past to where it doesn't get picked up by major media. It doesn't get out there to the general population who doesn't necessarily follow the WNBA that closely. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Am I being too hard on Becky? Do you think this is a huge problem? Like I sort of alluded to in the title, look, this could end badly for Becky Hammon. She could get fired and banned, maybe even from the WNBA, depending on how bad this is. It could be a serious issue for the Las Vegas Aces. They're already It's already looking like they're going to be in a lot of trouble from that, quote unquote donation of $100,000 to each player from the Chamber of Commerce. I saw some new documents on that. That's looking pretty shady as well. But we will see. We'll let the process play out and see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for checking out this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.